Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Where the Gnomes Live. This is Sharon Oyella, and today we're making the candles that light up on the top of the shelf there. In the previous videos I showed you how to make the shelf itself, how to make some crystals, and a jar of tiny eyeballs. But anyway, if you're looking for links to this project, they're all in the pinned comment below, along with the detailed timestamps of this video. Alright guys, let's address two things before we carry on. First of all, I'm going to be doing other lights for you in the next couple of videos. You're going to see me make this acorn light, and then I also do a log with some candles on it. But before we do that, I just wanted to address two comments that came up, and they're absolutely fantastic comments and they make a lot of sense. One was about using the bulb of the string and then the rest of the bulbs are wasted, and then the other one was about why not just use these lights here and attach them to a battery, which we're going to be doing in the future because my boyfriend's going to help me figure all that out. But I'm using these string lights because they are so cheap. You can get them for $2 or less, and they're super easy to use. Sometimes you can get them attached to a vine. You just have to cut the vine off, then you have a string plus a vine that you could also use around the dollhouse. So I'm using them because they're convenient and they're super cheap. I could buy 10 of them and still save money instead of buying an actual dollhouse light. If you look at dollhouse lighting, they're very expensive. So this is a really cheap way to get some lights into your dollhouse, and you just have to come up with some ideas on how to use up the rest of the string. Like this one here, I made the candles on top of the shelf, and then I buried the string behind, and then I used a couple of the bulbs going up the stairs. I put my little salt lamps there, and the salt lamps are also here on my YouTube channel if you missed that one. Anyways, I don't have a problem with burying some of those bulbs, and I don't feel like it's a waste because I've saved myself so much money in the long run. As long as I can come up with some ideas on how to hide the lights, which I'm going to show you in the next video, how to take advantage of those remaining bulbs or how to bury them, and also how to hide the battery pack. So if you want a cheap and easy way to get some lights into your dollhouse, this is a great option. Alright, so the lights in this project are string LED lights. These do not heat up. They're also submersible. And I do paint some of my bulbs, so you want to make sure that it's safe to do that. To wrap them to make the candles, I'm using embroidery thread. If you don't have embroidery thread, I'm sure yarn would work as well. You'll also need some white glue and scissors, of course, and a shelf of your choice. If you want to have a shelf like the one I'm painting here, I've shown how to make that in the previous video. The link is in the pinned comment below, along with the detailed timestamps. Alright guys, let's grab your shelf and your lights and let's get started. Alright, I was going to originally light up the crocheted skull and have it on the top shelf in the corner. I later changed my mind and made the candles instead, so I was just kind of winging it as I go here. So I put the hole in the wrong spot. If I was going to do it over again, I would have put that hole right in the center where my candles were sitting. But either way, it worked out in the end. So I just had to poke a hole to get my light through there. So I'm going to be working with the first 3 bulbs of this string. So the very top of this string has a little bit of a wire, so I just fold that down. And then the bottom, I'm just going to see how tall I want this. And then I'm going to fold the wire underneath it up towards the bulb and then back down again, creating a little stem. And you'll see that I still have distance between that bulb and the one in between my finger and my thumb. And what we're going to do from here is I'm going to wrap these 3 lights right here with the orange thread, just so it's as clear as a bell, because I noticed when I was doing the one in the shelf, my fingers were in the way a lot because it was the first time I had ever done candles like this, and I was just kind of winging my way. So let's do it again, and I'll be as clear as possible, and then we'll come back to the ones on the shelf. Alright, so I'm going to lay my embroidery thread. You'll see the beginning of my embroidery thread is at the bottom of the stem. So I'm going right to the top where the bulb is there. And you'll see in between the bulb and my stem, there's a little bit of a dip. So I'm going to make sure to wrap that a couple of times before I start wrapping down, just to bring it up to the same thickness as the stem. Otherwise, you'll have a little bit of an issue there when you wrap back up. Okay, you want that to be the same thickness as your stem. Now I'm going to wrap all the way down to the bottom of that stem, and I'm wrapping over the tail of the embroidery thread, and that will bury that there. And now I've wrapped all the way to the bottom of the stem. I'm going to use my thumbnail to hold that, push up against the bottom so it's flat. I'm going to run a bead of tacky glue here from the bottom to the top. And then I'm just going to wrap over that. And I've got my thumbnail holding the bottom So by the time I get to the top, that tacky glue is going to kind of catch on. So I'll have a flatter bottom. I'm going to go all the way to the top, wrapping carefully over that bead of glue. See, I'm pushing the bottom up. And the more I do that, the flatter it's going to get. Because remember, I do have a bead of tacky glue in there already. So I'm pushing that up with my thumbnail, and I'm going to be doing the same at the top as well. So I could feel it slipping here at the top. It's like slipping off the very top there, the thread. So I'm going to add a little bit of tacky glue, just a dot here, just to keep it from going upwards, because it starts to spiral, and then you don't have that flat edge that you want. So I'm just going to wrap carefully down that little bit of glue and go back down towards the bottom. I'm just going to take my time because I don't want it to spiral at the top. I want it to have a flat edge, and I'll take my time to make sure that's happening before I'll continue down. So again, with my thumbnail, just pushing that into a flatter edge, or flatter top. Now I'll keep going down. You'll notice when I get to the bottom, I'm going to use my thumbnail. I'm going to push it right underneath the bottom edge. There I go. And now I'm going to grab the tacky glue, and I'm going to do another bead of tacky glue from the bottom to the top. And this one I'm going to spread around the surface with my finger. To spread it around, and now I'm going to wrap up to the top. And I think this one I'm going to stop wrapping once I get to the top. It's not going to be as thick as the ones on the shelf, but you could keep wrapping. You can go up and down until you get the candle as fat as you want it. Now I'm just going to add a bead of tacky glue, and I'm going to spread that all the way around with my finger. And I was unsure, I think at this point, if I was going to keep wrapping, but I added the glue and then I decided to cut free, which I'm going to do right now. There, I cut free, and now I'm going to add another bit of glue and spread that around with my finger, and then I'm going to cut that embroidery tail right off. And then I'm just going to add a dot of glue at the end there where I cut it free. A little dot of glue, and then I'll spread that in, and that will hold it in place until it dries. And then I decided another bead of tacky glue, and I'll spread that around the surface. And I'm going to do that, I think, once or twice more. And what I'm doing actually is just filling in the embroidery thread wrapping lines. So I'm using the glue as filler. So I'm just spreading that, trying to get it into those wrapping lines so I don't see them as clearly. All right, so now we're going to wrap the second one, and this is exactly how I did the candles on the shelf, so there's no difference. And for this one, all we want to do is just get that bulb at the top. So we're going to bring the first wire there down, and the second wire down as well. And that's it. And then this one is not going to be as tall as the first one, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. But that's all I want to do for that stem. So now that I have the height there, I'm going to put my thumb where I want the end to be. And that's where I'm going to put the end of the embroidery thread, right where my thumb is. And then at the top, it's going to be the same as the first one. We need to wrap that little dip there a couple of times before we go down the stem, just to make sure that they are the same thickness. Okay, once I got that, now I'm going to wrap all the way down to the bottom of the stem. So I'll wrap to the bottom, and then I'm going to go back up to the top. And this is where I'm going to add my bead of tacky glue. So I'll stop here at the top and my bead of tacky glue, and I'm going to wrap down over that right to the bottom. Then I'm going to come right back up to the top again. And you'll notice I didn't spend too much time with the top and the bottom. It's because the thread was wrapping perfectly there. So I didn't really have to stop and readjust the top and the bottom too much. So you just have to go by feel and by what you're seeing, right? You want to flatten out the bottoms and the tops as much as you can. But sometimes the thread will just wrap nicely and you don't have to do that. But anyway, I broke it free there, and a little dot of tacky glue all the way around. Same as the first one. I'm just going to use it as filler. All right, so for the third one, we want to get the bulb at the top just like we did for the second one. So all we have to do is just fold it down, both sides of the wire to expose that. But I'm going to wrap this one back towards the second candle just to shorten up the distance between the two. Okay, I don't want to have too much distance there, but I want to have as much distance as I can between the third candle and the fourth bulb, because we're going to be burying that inside the dollhouse or hiding it somewhere. Okay, so we want some distance there to work with. So I've wrapped back towards the second candle, and now I'm just going to wrap this one. I'll do it off camera because we've already covered all what we need to cover there. So once you have the 3 candles wrapped, and now I just arranged them onto a plate there. So I'm just going to bring them so the shortest one is in the front and the 2 taller ones are in behind. And the wires are so thin that you can just hide it behind the plate. Okay, and then I used a little dot of hot glue to hold the 3 together. I forgot to mention that you can paint the bulbs as well. I did paint mine with this yellow paint just to tone down the color of the bulb and the tone of the light when you turn them on. Alright, so like I said, I held the 3 candles together with a dot of hot glue, and now I'm just going to put a dot underneath. And I attached mine to this plate that I made, but you can attach them right to the whatever surface that you're putting them on. And I had totally forgotten I had done this. I painted them white first, and then I changed my mind and went with a cream color. So after that was dry, I decided to paint them with a cream color. And I had used a little bit of hot glue. You can see on the side I did dribble a little bit of hot glue along the side to make it look like dripping. And then over top of that hot glue, I put a little bit of black paint to make it look like it burnt coming down a bit, like a real candle. Alright, so I pulled the wire in the back to bring the plate up to the top shelf. Now I'm going to be using some candle adhesive at the bottom of this plate. Now you could use glue, of course. I just want to hold it in place there until I'm going to be dripping hot glue along the front. So I didn't really need to put actual glue underneath there. And I'm just going to anchor that wire in the back. So I started with masking tape, and then I put masking tape over the one bulb because you can see it's still shining through. Painted that black, and that actually will keep it from shining, but to make that a permanent thing, I'm going to put a piece of newspaper over the whole back here. So I just painted down white glue, placed the newspaper over that, and then white glue over that, and then let that dry. Once it's dry, you can go ahead and paint it black. And then I'll show you what it looks like when we turn the lights on. There's nothing shining from behind there, so I can put it up against the wall and I don't have to worry about light from behind. Anyways, we're going to add the dripping hot glue here to make it look like the wax is dripping over the shelf itself. I kind of messed it up a little bit, but oh well. It was my first try. And I'm cutting away some of the strands. And then when I was done, I went ahead and painted them the same color as the candles. I want to try this again using actual candle wax. Alright guys, so I did decorate my shelf. Now these tiny little books here are going to be coming up in a future video. Hopefully before the end of this month. I'm working on another set of lights for you right now. And then I want to dive right into those tiny books because I have an easy method for making those. Anyways, I'm going to attach some of my things to the shelf now, and I'm just going to use my candle adhesive. I actually found this tin in a thrift store. I'm sure you can still get it on Amazon. I like this stuff because it's not permanent. You can just stick it, it's like waxy, and it just holds everything in place. Especially on tiny shelves when you try to arrange them, if they move at all, things go flying and then it gets a little frustrating. Alright, so I'm just going to add a few more things here. The tiny jar eyeballs. I think I put a couple on the second. Yes, I did. Big one in a little jar. And then the top shelf is going to get some of the crystals that I made. And again, those links are in the pinned comment below. Alright my friends, in the next video we're going to install the shelf. I'm going to show you how I buried the string of lights, how I used up a couple more bulbs, and then buried the battery pack. That video should be popping up on your screen. If it's not popping up there, look in the pinned comment below for the link. Click on it and I'll see you over there.